What's happening, guys? On the heels of what seemed to be very enjoyable for most people with the fail video, we're going to look at some more fail videos, but we're actually going to be constructive and try and talk about what could be done better, or maybe what they're trying to accomplish, or whatever the case may be. So here we go.
Here we go. So I first saw this and I actually thought, I didn't know there was a band there. I was like, well, that's fairly impressive.
Yeah, this dude's incredibly strong.
Yeah, he's doing like a dragon flag very quickly. But yeah, it's a very kind of weird choice of.
Well, you kind of wonder, like, what is the goal? Is he like trying to stretch? Is he trying to mobilize? Does he think this is working his abs somehow? I mean, like, can we guess what his motive is?
I don't know. When you see it a bunch of times and you see him basically in this position right there, he's got to be feeling. At this point, the band's almost stretched out, so he's got to be feeling like he's actually pulling down. So maybe he feels like he's working hip extension. Maybe he's trying to do some type of variation on like reverse hyper.
It's like so wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many things wrong with it. But yeah, it would be very interesting to say. So what's that for? And if he said anything anterior, he'd be totally wrong. It's really not for anything, but.
So let's just say, what if he was like, oh, this is total engagement in my posterior chain. What would you recommend he do instead as a first measure of posterior chain engagement?
I have him RDL or something like that. Good morning, RDL,
exactly.
Deadlift.
That is pretty much what I was thinking. So if you're doing wacky, banded, leg kicky stuff, chances are maybe an RDL would be a better movement.
Yeah, it's kind of unnecessarily creative.
Okay, let's find another. Oh my god, this one's outstanding because we don't even get to see what he wanted to try and do. So he had this elaborate plan in his head of some crazy thing, and he doesn't even get to show off because he filmed it.
My guess is he's trying to do a assisted ring handstand push-up.
It's just some sort of really deep, what amounts to a vertical push. So like this could probably be best replicated as maybe a strict press, just taking a barbell and pressing it overhead. This first of all, look at how off-center that TRX is compared to the machine. So it's set up just poor from the beginning. Like it's totally pulling him in that direction. Like okay, if you're looking to do crazy inverted stuff and you don't have the strength or the tools or the stability to do it, just take a pair of dumbbells and press them overhead. Your shoulders will get just as strong, and you actually may look more impressive. If you could standing strict press 100-pound dumbbells in each hand and do that with a tight midline and like pretty effortlessly, you would be an absolute savage. And this, as opposed to this,
it's pretty ridiculous.
He has so much other equipment there, it like gets in the way. There's pads and ropes and stuff that he's like bumping into. Why did he choose a Smith machine? Like it's so bizarre. So bizarre.
Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Okay. You wanna take it away?
Yeah. Well, I mean, first, whenever I see these, I feel like the people are always super serious when they fall off and stuff, so at least he has a sense of humor that he's doing something
ridiculous.
Maybe, ridiculous or not.
I thought he was on a Bosu ball at first, like a half ball, but he's standing on a full ball.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, anything, one of my old coaches and mentors would say, like, I think if you're making something so unstable that you can't handle any type of load, there's no point in doing it. So he's pressing like a 10-pound kettlebell.
Yeah.
So that's not the reason he fell off. I mean, it's because he's standing on a freaking stability ball. So I don't know. If you have an hour of training that you can put in every day, you could choose to stand on a stability ball for 10 minutes, or you could like squat or press or deadlift or something like that.
Well, I see people do this stuff. Stand on weird. I saw a dude. Okay, he was standing on two individual of the short ones.
Yeah.
In Vibrams, so he's extra tough because he's got his Vibrams on.
I love Vibrams.
And he was doing bicep curls, and it's like, okay, pick one. Are you being a barefoot doctor or whatever it is? Are you working on your balance? Are you working on your midline, or are you working on your arms? Because right now you're doing a really bad job at all 4 or 5 of those things, right?
So you could wear your Vibrams and go for a walk. and
Great.
enjoy your Vibrams. You could do bicep curls. You could go surfing or skateboarding or do something that requires balance and like coordination and is actually fun. Or you could just combine them into one quick, sweet movement, which is what apparently that guy was doing.
Yeah, which is exactly what's happening. He is basically training for the next big wave he has to surf by standing on a inflatable plastic ball, pressing nothing over his head.
Yeah, I mean,
Is that what we're talking about here? I mean, you know, this idea that like you're gonna circumvent the system, and it's all about neuromuscular connections, and I'm gonna become super strong because my brain is connected to my feet, or something. What can he do instead? What would be if this guy's goal was stability? Because you know this reeks of I am trying to be super like core stable guy.
Yeah.
So what should he do instead?
So he could do nothing and be just as productive. That'd be totally fine. Save his time. He could just strict press. He could do a half kneeling strict press. He could, I mean, bottoms up is obviously, and then he throws in the bottoms up too, which is interesting as well. You could just press, or you could do something as simple as a single leg balance or something like that, or like I said, go do something fun, go skateboarding or go surfing or something. Do something outside, go rock climbing.
When you press heavy weight overhead, do you have to engage your midline?
Yeah.
Do you have to have balance?
Yep.
Huh. Imagine that.
Yeah, or you could take out. You could do a single leg press overhead. You could do a seesaw press. You could do things that compromise your balance a little bit. But reality is, if you're handling an outside load, probably want to be nice and stable. That's my opinion.
All right. Okay. I think the biggest thing about these is they're so unexpected.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, there's tons of these videos where you see someone go for something and they miss it, and then it's like, oh, fail video, and you're like, no, that's what happens when you miss a lift, or that's what happens when your setup isn't that good. It's like, yeah, that's understood. Some of these things are so bizarre and unpredictable. It's like, what the fuck are you thinking?
Well, I think like in the last video, it was kind of about giving CrossFitters credit and their desire to do stuff correctly and all that stuff. One of the things I think CrossFitters also really like is progressions, and the idea of if I can't do a muscle up, I shouldn't necessarily just jump up and go over and over again. Or if I can't do a muscle up, I shouldn't necessarily try and do a muscle up ring handstand push up.
Right.
Like there's a step-by-step process and progression. So like this idea of like, okay, well, I can't do like just a normal knee tuck. I can't do a normal L-sit. I can't do a leg raise. I can't do any of that stuff. So I'll hang out on the side and do things that are way tougher, and just kind of flail my legs all over the place. Because I don't know. I mean, I don't really understand half of these. They're pretty wild.
Well, I think the what it boils down to, and the opportunity that we never get is like, what are you trying to do? What are you accomplishing? Like, where did you come up with this idea? I'm genuinely curious. I'm not even sure if I can accurately speculate. Like, is this guy maybe he's a breakdancer, and this is like practice?
Yeah, I mean,
like it looks so weird. Like, what is he doing?
If he just created it on the spot, or if he's done this in the past. If he has done this in the past, does this make him sore? Like, does he feel like sore in his rectus abdominis and his hip flexors the day after he does this? Or is it just like, no, this is what I do, and that's how I stay so jacked?
Or is this just, no, I'm working my abs? In which case, how would he better work his abs given this piece of equipment?
Read the directions on the piece of equipment.
I don't know, it seems so obvious. Like, almost making this video, it almost seems like, well, of course. But here we are talking about like this really bizarre...
I've outsmarted the person who built this.
I just don't... Well, it's weird because, I mean, what he's doing obviously requires some body strength and awareness, and like you can see one of the kicks where he's like, oh, he actually has some decent hammy mobility. He could probably maybe actually do some stuff, like probably actually squat well, or probably actually hit some good positions, because he's able to put his body in some peculiar places that might suggest that he could do other productive things correctly. So it's not as if, like, you know, and I feel like this happens most often actually with older people when they go to the gym. I see this all the time, and it's sort of unfortunate, because if you take like a 70-year-old dude and he goes to the gym, maybe for the first time ever, because the whole gym phenomenon is only like 20 or 30 years old. He goes to the gym for the first time ever. You can tell because he's wearing like, you know, a polo shirt and like khakis and sandals, and he's doing stuff, and you're like, well, this guy just doesn't know what this is, and on top of that, he's 70 years old, and maybe he doesn't move that well, maybe things don't feel that good, and it makes sense why he would have a really high squat, or why it just doesn't work that well. But that's a 70-year-old dude who's been to the gym for the first time, as somebody who maybe understands how computers work and can Google and look up videos and read instructions. And
I would approach him. I would approach him the same way I approach a 14-year-old who's starting to work out for the very first time. I'd say, see this row of equipment, see these machines that have instructions on them. Go through these and do 3 sets of 12 on each one of these for your first month, your first 2 months, your first year.
Yeah.
Do that. And then as you get stronger, you set to 12, you maybe do a little bit more weight, but do what the machine tells you to do.
Yeah. No, and that's totally true. I mean, I guess I just have some sympathy.
Oh yeah.
For that dude, as opposed to, I mean, a lot of these people we looked at, there's nothing in their way of doing stuff right. They just
choose not to.
Just choose not to. I hope that was helpful and useful, and maybe a more constructive follow-up. Certainly fun for us to to get some laughs in. So hope you enjoyed, guys, and once again, you are doing good stuff.
Yeah.
Keep up the good work.
No